That's all. I just press the button that makes it spin, and then it spins and it's fine.
So how dependent are older people on the youth today?
You just imagine what it was like in 1936, 1937, when there was a war.
My grandmother and my grandfather are, if anything, role models to me, and I try to access their wisdom all the time.
We see some really wonderful things happening in the world as well, and I think we focus on the bad things too much sometimes.
So the sexual revolution, we never were allowed to talk about these things in the past.
So although I feel they are dependent on us for a lot of things, we are also dependent on them for a lot of things, and they teach us a lot.
Let me first of all welcome everybody here today. They're the younger people here, and these are the oldies over here. So the idea is that this is going to be a start of a conversation between young people and older adults. And I really believe that this is critical in our day and age now, that we had noticed over the past 10 years or so, the gap between us is increasing. And it's a conversation and a connection that I believe important if we both want to move forward in this ever-changing world. And this world is changing from generation to generation, and in fact, in many cases, it's changing from year to year and week to week. And I think we need to be able to handle that somehow. And we are suffering, as a fellow said many years ago, Toffler said, we are now coping with a future shock. The question is, and I think this is our question today, is do we want to close our ears and minds to this? Or can we then seek the help of the younger people to guide us somehow, to make us connect with this new world? We pay lip service to the fact that youth are our future. What do we do about it? Do you know what? There's no Minister of Youth in the federal government. There's no Minister of Youth in the state government. Anyhow, let's not play lip service today. Let's make that connection and let the conversation begin.
Do you feel that you receive enough respect from the younger generation?
Actually, about 6 years ago, I joined the Crime Stoppers Schoolies support team, helping to keep our young people safe during the Schoolies Week here on the Gold Coast. The young people are always grateful, courteous, and we always end the night feeling tired, but on a high note, knowing we've helped to protect and keep safe the wonderful youth of our country. And I find that the young people are so appreciative of our work.
Okay, so how dependent are older people on the youth?
I find my grandchildren and our son and our grandchildren are so wonderful with the computer, with the laptop, with even to yesterday, little funny, we bought a clock and a new electric clock, and Greg thought he'd set it up. No. We had to wait for Craig to come home, and then Craig was able to set it all up because we couldn't. So although I feel they are dependent on us for a lot of things, we are also dependent on them for a lot of things, and they teach us a lot.
feminist parties both sat down straight on Facebook, and I'm looking at them thinking, they're not even saying hello, how are you, what sort of day did you have?
Yeah, I know, you know, I mean, you see people, nobody talks to anybody anymore.
I'm not in control because somebody is controlling what comes up on my screen. And I find that very hard to accept. I get emails and somebody puts them into junk instead of, and they're quite important emails.
And if you don't know how to be safe online, then absolutely it can be a massive problem. But also, I think the way that our parents and our elders and our teachers and our community leaders and governments can improve that and to mitigate those challenges is to not be judgmental, not be patronising, but be open.
A lot of elderly people, like my grandfather, he always texts me or like asks me on Facebook, like, my computer's not working, can you come and fix it? I have no idea how to do anything except turn it on and hope that it works. And we were saying earlier about washing machines, how you only know how to press one button and it does it. That's all I do. So in the same way that you ask us to be understanding of your struggles, also please be understanding that for a lot of us, it's just how we've been brought up, and beyond the basics, we really don't know. So sometimes it might even be helpful to learn with your younger friend or person if something's broken or if you don't know how to do something. I don't know how to use a hard drive, so I'd be happy to come over and learn with you.
Poses a lot of challenges, yes, and perhaps would it be better if people didn't utilise it for certain things or if certain websites didn't exist. But I think the role of the government, I don't think it should be censoring all of that necessarily, because I don't think they're always the best arbiter of what should be censored. But yeah, it's a very difficult question for governments and policymakers. But yeah, I think the question of censorship is a very difficult question, though. I think the difficulty is who decides what gets to be censored, and I don't think the government of any political stripe should be determining what is valid for consumption other than what is universally deemed criminal in the first place under the law.
And we were on the Eyre Peninsula. We were in a caravan, so we had 12 volts, so we were able to still run our fridge and cook on our gas stove. The caravan park that we were in was reliant on power for hot showers, and they said they had a gas barbecue, but both of those couldn't be used because it used electricity to trigger off both of them.
I used to live in a little country village with some of the other people who are here, and there was a power cut. But because we were a country village and people knew what was happening, and they kept paper records of things because we lived in an area where there was a lot of big trees, and therefore lines did get cut in storms and things. So I was able to get money out of the bank when there was no electricity because they knew. And so if there was no electricity, what is your plan B?
I think as well older politicians and things like that who aren't as up to date with social media, and you've seen plenty of examples of politicians that'll do some silly things on social media, not realizing how far-reaching those things can be. So it's interesting times, I think.
If I put something up and you only get a couple of likes, it was this pressure of being popular, I guess, which is a sad thing, really. That has to do with ego, obviously. But with that, I am open to newer technologies, Corey. If someone will teach me, I'm quite willing to listen and try it myself. And then whether I use it or not, it's another thing. But yeah, I'm certainly am open to it.
I don't even own a mobile phone. By the time I've got my glasses on and my hearing aids in, there's no point in having a mobile phone.
Yeah, no, I don't like email because I'm a people person. I like to talk to the person, yeah.
No, well, I have a computer at home, and I do a lot of work on that, and I check emails and I change website pages.
Well, what disturbs me, and unfortunately it also applies to my family, is that they put a load of rubbish on about what they're doing this very minute. They had a drink it's a lovely drink at the club the other night, and then they had roast pork for dinner, and then they had this and that. And it's a load of chatter. And if you go to Facebook, how on earth do you delete all that rubbish? I mean, it goes back to 2015. It's still stuff in there that you did in 2015. And if they meet somebody they don't like them, they tend to say, well, I don't like that lady anymore.
Young people are using technology to kind of break the mold of traditional employment paths, to become social entrepreneurs, to start startups and kind of make their own livelihoods on their own backs through their knowledge of technology. And that's increasing. And I think that's happening because of the job insecurity. So I think there's a lot of opportunity.
There is a much stronger emphasis on learning skills and abilities as opposed to specific skills for specific jobs. So when we're doing our classwork and we're doing our exams and everything, we're mostly looking at abilities like critical thinking, teamwork, collaboration, all of that kind of stuff, as opposed to learning stuff about the law. We would be learning skills that you would need in a profession like that, because schools are aware that 90% of us will be going into a job market that doesn't exist currently.
And the challenge is, I suppose, the transfer of knowledge and understandings of the world between generations, but also young people understanding the world in new ways, to some extent because the world is so new and so different and changing, as Peter mentioned, from week to week. The exponential growth that we're seeing right now, and that we really can't predict what industries will change and the role of technology in changing jobs. And the future of work, particularly for my generation and the generation coming after me, is going to be very precarious. So I think, so I'm an art student, so I'm probably going to be unemployed anyway. But I think one solution is to really teach computer programming and coding from primary school and see it just as another language like English. Because if you start teaching young people from very early age how to interact with programming and coding, then you're not only creating a greater knowledge economy, but you're preparing them for engaging in technologies of the future that we can't even predict right now.
Where's your VR gear, Pete? You got to keep up with this sort of stuff or you'll be left behind.
David, you need to be patient with us, because sometimes it's very difficult to keep up with all the changes. And do I really need VR?
Oh, of course you do. Everyone needs VR. Now I'm a Usain Bolt out to the shake joint with my GF to partizzle for the notchy.
A what? What did you say?
Partizzle for the notchy.
Participate for the notchy?
It's gonna be lit.
It's gotta be lit.
It's gonna be.
Oh, it's gonna be lit.
It's gonna be lit.
So, are you going to chill out?
Yeah.
She's got to chill out.
Talking about the latest lingo, it's like our lingo that we used to speak back in the day, like holy dooly and crikey and all those sayings. Like I guess the younger ones then probably didn't know what we were speaking about either. So,
Also, I find that they speak so fast that I can only hear once every 5 words kind of thing. and they use language like this young lady did. Apart from the fact that you're going to KFC for a burger, and you're meeting your mates after this evening, I didn't understand the other words that you mentioned.
Sometimes it's nice to listen to a younger person because sometimes I think we have little blinkers on like this and we see life like this. But if you talk to a younger person, they might have blinkers on as well, but they're looking in a different direction, and I think that's great. And I rely on my children sometimes to say, well, this is what we're going to do. What do you think? And they go, Mum, you're crazy. Why did you do this? And you go, never thought of that.
The other thing is, I think there's a lack of development of face-to-face communication. When you get in a train, perhaps, people don't talk to each other anymore. They get out their iPhone. As soon as they sit down, they take out their iPhone or smartphone and they communicate that way. If they go to the restaurant, the first thing they do when they get in there is to take out their phone and check for any outdates. Well, I mean, Bernard Shaw was a very bright sort of fella, but he's quite cynical in his own way. And this is one of his quotes: "Youth is a wonderful thing. What a crime to waste it on young people." Now, okay, how are we going to take that? First of all, I think we will agree that youth is a wonderful thing. But I think after today, we will disagree that it's wasted. Because I'm really absolutely impressed by the energy and the vitality. I mean, the young people don't know what's ahead of them, really. And God, we would be shaking in our shoes. I don't want to stop the conversation. I think, importantly today, we started something here. And I'm very proud that Southport's done that. I think this should be on a bigger scale. And I think I'd like to plant a seed with all the people here today. How about going out there and starting this conversation? How about when you see a young person in the shopping centre, how about saying, "Hi, how are you today?" Okay? You might get a punch in the face.
There are too many people in the world to all start thinking the same way. So what you do with it, good luck.
Getting old.
When you're a younger kid under the age of 15, everything seems to be all right. It's just slow.
Our young people need to speak to the elderly. They can learn so much by talking to them.
Forgetting.
Library.
Slept by doctor. First breath. Loud scream. Shuffled off to kindy.
Less hair. Grey hair.
Wikipedia.
New technology. Graduated college. Pimples. First job.
And I was very young, probably about 6 or 7 or something, and I asked if I could give her a kiss.
Oh, God. Peter, hang on a minute. We don't want a life story here.